Good morning again. A little over a week ago, Pastor Kevin asked me to fill in today to speak about where we are at in the story series. When he asked me, I was in Haiti, and there was an email that arrived, and there was two of you that had not responded to him that week. So I was the third choice, and here I am. And I won't put anyone on the spot. But at first, I asked for a little time when he asked me. Some of you know I'm a dairy nutritionist. I work with cows. So I needed a little time to chew on that and ruminate a bit. And I asked what was the part of the story for November 10th. And the email came later. He had replied, Ruth. Immediately, I replied, sure, I will do it, Pastor K. I knew Ruth was about a foreigner and about friendship, and it seemed like a good fit for where I was. As I told you, I was in Haiti. I was with a group called the Haiti Consortium. It's a ministry of Reach Global, which is the mission arm of the Evangelical Free Church of America. And there's representatives from four very large free churches were there, and some very dynamic, God-loving Haitian partners. The group has begun some excellent projects, done some terrific relationship building, and there's some positive momentum and some results that are showing in child sponsorship, community health, and agricultural development. While there are many statistics that show trouble in a struggling country, the Haiti Consortium is making progress for Haiti and for the Lord. So back to the story. I cannot adequately do justice to this phenomenal story, the book of Ruth, in just a few minutes. But I will try to make a few points about this foreigner, Ruth, whose name actually mimics the Hebrew sound for friend. So Ruth, foreigner, friend. Some background, Naomi was returning to Bethlehem, and Moab was across the Dead Sea from where she had lived. This was during a time of peace with Moab, and she had gone with her husbands and sons to escape a famine in Judah. The sons married Moabite women. Ruth was one, and Naomi's husband and sons had died in Moab. Naomi encouraged her daughter-in-laws to stay with their people, and that's where Ruth replied, where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Ruth stayed with Naomi, and she may not have only been seen as a foreigner, but remember that Moab had been an enemy. So how would she have been seen in Judah? Think about it. Have you ever felt like an outsider yourself? Ruth set out to prove herself as a friend, but it's probably better to say that God worked through her in a very special, unique way. After we've read, and gone through the first few books of the Bible, the story about the beginning of a great nation, the preservation of a people through famine by Joseph, freedom from slavery in Egypt, wandering in the desert, and arrival in the promised land. Now here, in the time of the Judges, we have an individual exodus, the story of Ruth, faithful to her new God, and what a story it is. It's a story of redemption and promise. There are at least three characteristics in Ruth that shine brightly in three people I met as a foreigner in Haiti. Ruth was chosen first by Naomi's son, then she was chosen by Naomi, and later by Boaz, who became her husband. And we find out at the very end of Ruth that she became the mother of Obed, who became the father of Jesse, the father of David, ultimately leading to Jesus. Imagine, God chose Ruth. God chooses all of us. Do you feel chosen? The last day I was in Haiti, we visited Source de la Grace Church in Port-au-Prince. There was a worship service and a program for children, and we got to participate in it. I took a photo of some words that showed on the screen. There was the music on the screen for the song Father Abraham. And it was in Haitian Creole. It was called Papa Abraham. And I sent a picture of that to Sandy because I couldn't see those words without thinking of how many times Sandy has done that song with our kids. Am I right? Amen. Okay? Myself, during that children's program, which was in large part spoken about Noah, I was in charge of a group of elephants. I was the head elephant, and a mighty fine elephant I was. But if you look at the slide here, you see an interesting picture. Before leaving, I was able to meet the girl that Barb and I sponsored through Global Fingerprints, Reach Global. I had never met her. And she was the only child present that day who also had a sponsor present. So I met Charlene, 15 years old. Global Fingerprints has sponsorship opportunities in several countries. Children sponsored in Haiti are supported nutritionally, educationally, socially, medically, and spiritually. They are supported in their own homes, not in orphanages. And many are teenagers in those vulnerable years where choices can affect where they end up. Charlene lives with her mom, a sister, and a brother. It was so wonderful to meet her. And we talked through an interpreter. It was like she had been singled out, like she'd been chosen. However, after we discussed a few things, I asked her if she would pray for Barbara and me. And she responded immediately, and the interpreter relayed what she said. I always do. I always do, she said. So who felt chosen now? I thought I was giving, but I was receiving. I felt exactly like Ruth had told Boaz. Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me, a foreigner? There was just a lot of joy there. But what about you? What about us as a church? Can we grasp our chosenness? We are chosen. Next slide, please. Bear fruit. We're told to bear fruit, and this is in an area where coffee is grown. We made a road trip there. Vermain in the picture. He rode next to me for 2 days in the back seat of a Toyota 4x4. We had 2 3.5-hour trips where we rubbed shoulders the whole time. But in Haiti, 3.5 hours equals 7. So the drives were very long. Vermain is 27 years old. He's a second-year seminary student. He's from the Leogan area in Haiti. He's married. He's a really deep thinker, but he's very friendly and very casual. And it was just like I had an old friend with me. He's fluent in English. Now, I learned just yesterday from Dennis Platt that there are 4 levels of conversation. Number 1 is the weather. Number 2 is work. Number 3 is things about your family. And that 4th level is what's going on with your soul. How is it with your soul? That's a very Wesleyan idea, right? Well, before we had even cleared Port-au-Prince on our trip, Vermain was at level 4. He shared his story of faith, and he asked me my story. In all that he did on that trip, Vermain put Jesus first. He abided, and he did bear fruit. And I'm fortunate to call him friend. Ruth was faithful to Naomi in how she worked, and her attitude stood out. All others noticed. Vermain rubbed off on me. I was so encouraged by him. Bear fruit. Thirdly, an interesting slide. Love each other. Ruth so loved that she left her homeland and she gave selflessly. I learned love each other from yet another person in Haiti. PG is 20. He's from Port-au-Prince, and he's an interpreter. He stayed a couple nights at the Reach Global Haitian Queen guest house with us. I got to know him some. I teased him a little bit. You can't imagine me doing that, can you? And he really warmed up. He had a smile that could light up a room. I didn't get a photo of him, but you see a pair of sandals. There's a lot of need in Haiti, and I I did not know PG's specific needs, but Port-au-Prince is a very, very tough life. You can't imagine. I gave him a little flashlight, no big deal, but it was very bright and he was so thrilled with it. He shined just like that light. But then I had a feeling that I should give up my sandals. But I also had some selfish reasoning, you see, because those sandals were pretty new. They were just broken in. I love those sandals. And you know what? They've probably got a few hundred miles more on this trip. But I just did not want to part with them. And then I realized how stupid it was. So I gave them to PG. And he put them on, and he was thrilled. And guess what? They fit him better than me. Later that morning at the church in Port-au-Prince, when I was headed out of town and saying my goodbyes, I faced PG. He looked me straight in the eyes. And he said, I love you. When will I see you again? Imagine. Christian love. Now, in our northern climate, except to family, we men really don't talk like that. It's like our tongues might get frozen to the roof of our mouths, right? And if you're like me, if you've got some of your heritage from the mountains of Norway or from the highlands of Scotland, you're afraid of two more things. Number one, sound carries. And number two, it echoes. So I was just amazed that he would be that open with me. But we're told to love each other as Christ desires and wants us to do. And Ruth showed that kind of love. When Boaz, who became her husband, when he was known as a kinsman redeemer for a clan or a family. And when he sealed the deal for Naomi and Ruth, and another relative that had first rights to Naomi's husband's property, as was the custom to the Hebrews, one party takes off a sandal and gives it to the other. And that's how the deal is sealed. So, the point here is seal the deal. We need to love each other. We need to love each other. Last slide, please, Alexis. We are chosen. And we are told to bear fruit, and we are told to love one another. John 15 really nails it. It really nails it. It gets it all right. It gives us what we need to do. How can we act this out? How can we bear fruit and love each other? I've got some ideas for you. And for me. If you haven't blown all your money on Christmas shopping yet, and you'd like to give a different and meaningful gift, you can go home and Google Reach Global Fingerprints and find out about child sponsorship opportunities. Do you want to go to Haiti? Don't all speak at once. Do you want to go to Haiti? That can be arranged. Maybe you can still get teamed with the Glads and go to St. Martin's. And there's opportunities for all of us to help feed people at Long Lake Lutheran, with the North Anoka County Food Shelf, and right here on Thanksgiving. The Salvation Army needs volunteers. And as what has already been mentioned earlier today, we are discovering an epidemic of heroin use in the youth in our community. That was reported in the Star Tribune yesterday. What are we doing? There's lots of opportunities for us to bear fruit. Are you being called to bear fruit in love in something where you might feel like a foreigner? Good. You are chosen. We are chosen. And we have a friend to help us. His name is Jesus. If we don't know where he may be leading us, we just need to step up and let us just say, "Here I am, Lord," and be willing to go. Amen.